Greetings, friends. Just wanted to talk a bit about the projects which Paul and I have going on overseas. If you've followed this channel, I don't need to give you the whole background story, but you'll probably learn a bit as I go on here. But Paul is someone I'm very lucky to have met. He's one in a million. He's extremely strong, with a strong spirit, like extremely hardworking, intelligent, always planning, thinking, but also very feeling, a man of deep soul. So born on December 24th, I don't think it's a coincidence that he can suffer and so greatly and not bat an eyelid, or well, he takes on that. He suffers for a greater project. And it pains me to see my good friend do this, but it's ordained. I can't do anything. People are as they are, and I'm going along with this for the greater good. We want to make things better overseas. Money is energy. You make money and you pass it on and you cause more growth to spread light in the world. The world is maybe ruled by Satan, but it is of God. Everything is of God, because Satan is an illusion of separateness. My faith in Paul has not changed from day one. It's just as strong. Paul's loyalty to me is just as strong as it's ever been from day one, 2010, when we got to know each other. We have had faith in our projects since day one, uninterrupted. We know that things are going to be very good in the future. And yet we always encounter doubters, because the doubters will always be there in life. A doubter will only become a believer when they see you producing hard cash. But by then they'll have already showed you their true character. You'll know who they really are. And you can forgive, but don't forget. Because what many people don't understand about a startup business is that it takes a long time, usually a number of years, before it's generating a healthy income. What they also don't understand is that being able to access hard cash is something which, it's like, that's not only is that later in the process, but inevitably with a business, most of your wealth is going to be tied up in other forms, in other assets, like in goods or in equipment, for example. You have other ways of making money, it's just not in that liquid form. And that's good. That's good for the economy, because if everyone's money was liquid, then where would the assets be? Where would the equipment be? The other thing about startups is that not only is it going to take time, you're going to probably have setbacks, numerous setbacks. And these will often be completely unexpected. And these setbacks will only embolden doubters, whether that's doubters overseas or doubters back home, depending on your position. I mean, Paul's gotten malaria several times, and that's something that people get over there, but it's particularly because he works himself so hard, spending so much of the day going out and meeting people, buying materials, driving places, and eating irregularly. It's going to make you more susceptible if malaria is in your system, and it'll take you longer to recover, or you'll think you're recovered, and then the next day you're hanging out with your friends, and all of a sudden you vomit. It's just like explosive vomiting. Just it's a really nasty thing. And then he got yellow fever later on because he was in the big city. He was in hospital for a while. Sometimes, and I'm out of touch back in Canada, and I have faith in God that Paul will survive. Dear God. Most people would doubt me. I mean, you would probably doubt me. You'd think, why would you do what I did? Only I can do this because I have the direct experience of Paul. I have been there. I have seen the situation, so I totally understand that other people would doubt me, that you spent most of your inheritance that, from my mother, and then my grandpa helped me out. So yeah, you can call me a lucky trust funder, but fine. The thing is, I have the faith. I made the decision to do what I did. If Paul were to die, then I would be basically ruined. And I'd be devastated, of course. And I don't mean to make this all about, he's like my brother. I mean, that would kill me. But yeah, I mean, obviously in a financial sense, I trust Paul. I have that faith. And when you're investing in a developing country, that's a risky thing to do. And you need that firsthand knowledge. So the natural state of affairs, worldly speaking, is selfishness, self-interest, preserving yourself, even though we know that's not entirely true. Humans are social. Men suffer for the greater good, for their wives and children. But generally, when you hear of doing something like this, leaving your culture, leaving that which is normal for people, the default setting is going to be to doubt. What are you doing? You know how much fraud goes on in that part of the world? You know how much money has been wasted there? How many millions and billions of dollars have been? You know how many Westerners get taken advantage of? Oh, I know. Oh, I could tell you more than you could from what I've seen. Like I said, you reevaluate your business model. So we built the guest house. The guest house is fine. The guest house is good. The guest house was expensive, not so expensive. And by the way, I'm not going to tell specific numbers because I give people an idea and then they want me to give a specific information. It's like, no, I can't discuss too much specific information. It's not safe. It's not wise. I'm walking a bit of a tightrope with this video. There's people that want me dead for even daring to put my white ass in this sort of situation. They don't understand. They can't even believe that Paul would. They also doubt. They doubt that Paul could really be my friend. People from my culture would doubt Paul, that Paul is really my friend. He's trying to take advantage of me, of course. It is a certain faith in God. God takes care of things. Stay the course. All is well. And all is well. And despite getting sick, Paul has always recovered. It's like the resurrection. And we got more into agriculture. So the guest house is not producing money for us yet, despite being a huge cost. And that looks kind of bad. But that's a house for us. That's a house we can always use. We have animals, pigs, sheep, goats. There were 5 pigs when we got them in 2015, 3 females, 2 males. And then now there must be over 20. I mean, they're like plus 15. Because of the breeding, or there's probably more now, and some of the adult males are like literally 4 feet tall. Like, if you don't believe me, it's true. These things can knock down walls. You have to have like reinforced walls, and but the animals, that was sort of the first thing when we didn't really know. We're doing that simultaneously while building the guest house. Rice cultivation, I've talked about that. We already have 1 rice crop harvested from last year, and we haven't sold it yet, but we already have another crop planted. There's other things in agriculture which we are involved in. They are all perfectly legal. We have business licenses for these things, but I'm not going to discuss what they are because, unfortunately, there's too many bad mind, money-conscious people out there. Money-conscious means something different over there. Money-conscious is more like greedy people. But in good time, I'll be able to talk about it. But let's just say it's wholesaling agricultural products. And we have a truck, and we transport some products. We take it to the factory. And the factory obviously pays us, and that's that. The thing is, 2 months ago, it was the heavy rains, of course, still continuing, and Paul was supervising the truck on its journey, and I think he had 2 other guys with him, but they got stuck in the mud, and they got out, and they were trying to push the truck out of the mud, and somehow, like, Paul was standing next to the wheel of this truck would have had a huge load on it. This truck is like, I wouldn't say it's like an 18-wheeler like we have in North America, but it's like a flatbed. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I'm not over there right now. And by the way, people might ask me, why don't I go back? Relax. Everything will happen in good time. I don't even worry about that anymore because things are all right. Things are moving along. Everything's cool. I'll go back in good time. But so this truck pushing the wheel a little bit, and suddenly it lurches forward, and he fell under the wheel of the truck, and it ran over his leg, and broke his leg in 3 places. Like, it snapped his leg in 3 places. So he was screaming in pain. And so he's been recovering in the hospital for like 2 months. Since this was like the first week of September or the last end of August, around that time. And they immediately did surgery to fix the bones. So that's good. So actually he's recovering. He will be resurrected again, believe me. Yeah, but this is the sort of stuff that emboldens doubters. They say, you see how risky it is? You see all the unpredictable. This is a learning process. He's going to be okay. I have that faith. He was able to get someone else to complete the trip eventually. So that's good. But ideally, he would like to be supervising that. And he's going to be doing physiotherapy soon. And eventually, he'll be out of the hospital. And hopefully walking again. I hope so. But Paul has accomplished a lot of stuff so far. Like I've said, not all wealth has to be in hard cash, or as soon as you make hard cash, which we have been doing now with this wholesale business, but then it gets reinvested into other stuff. You got to buy more stuff. You got to maintain this. You got to pay these people. But if your model is profitable, then with time, things will work out, because it's about building a steady relationship with local people, your suppliers. They have to supply you faster. So the more you go to see them, the more they can expect that you'll be able to pay them right away. They'll obviously satisfy you more quickly, and that'll lead to exponential growth. A believer will look with clear eyes. A believer is not jaded in his eyes. So when he looks at a fertile country, he sees a fertile country. He doesn't see a squalor and darkness. He thinks, wow, there's a lot of stuff that could be grown here, traded, a lot of new connections. There could even be a town built here. There could be a warehouse here. There's a lot of money to be made here. The doubters that I've encountered, well, of course, like the banks, my own bank has long ago stopped me from being able to send in any wire transfers. I cannot send any. I mean, I don't have to anymore. Like I said, things are developing, but earlier on, there were unexpected setbacks. Things developed. So I could not send any money through my bank. So I used MoneyGram, and you can use that through Canada Post, our postal service. And eventually they shut me down because I used it a bit too often, because you can only send a small amount of hard cash. And then it's like they're always watching you. And Western Union shut me down. They're too difficult to operate with anyways. They interview you so many times. It's a grueling process. They assume you're some like poor person. They don't assume you're a business person, because the only businesses that are going to that part of the world are big corporations or China or something like that. It's like entrepreneurs, it's like, what? I saw some billboard. It was my bank, Royal Bank, and they were like something like need assistance with your small business? We can help. It was something along those lines. And I just laughed to myself. I was like, yeah, right, you fucking bastards. I had a financial advisor until about a year ago. I withdrew all my money from the stock market. By the way, have you seen that the stock market has been very volatile? That same volatility that we saw in early February of 2018, it repeated itself in October. It's a sign that we are basically already about to start a recession, but who knows if it's actually right on the eve of but we'll see. Having a financial advisor, they're going to want to know stuff about your plan, and they're going to want to know, okay, so you're making money with this thing? And I'm like, well, I mean, they should know better, and I guess he does, but it's uncomfortable because it's always he's asking me questions. I'm like, and I had reasons to get out of that relationship. Like, I don't like doing this whole thing, and I don't like the stock market. You guys are all corrupt. It's all a big bubble anyways. It's all fiat currency anyways. He has his bottom line. He's trained to be suspicious. That's healthy, sure, but it's a negative vibration. He can't experience what I'm experiencing. I can only go so far to communicate, I have faith in Paul. Things are developing. At the end of the day, it remains, like it's a bit of a source of tension. It made me a bit uncomfortable. I felt like I have to prove something to this guy, even though he's working for me. He's got my money. I found one transfer service called WorldRemit. They have not shut me down yet. But of course, I don't have to send money over there anymore. But, just for some little things here and there, it's good to know. I have a good friend. He's still my good friend. And he was saying, well, I like what you guys are doing over there. It sounds pretty cool. He works for the city, the government. So it's more irregular, irregular and bureaucracy. And it's like, yeah, I like what you guys are doing. Maybe I could invest with you guys. And I was like, oh yeah, well, okay, I'll talk to Paul. And Paul's got something else going on there, real estate. And that's true. He has commenced building something, and it will be student housing because there's a new university coming to town. And the students are going to need housing all over this country. The population is booming, but yeah, universities definitely build housing for them. And then I was telling him like, yeah, so I mean, if you want to give us some money, we could finish the building or finish part of it, and then you could have like a share of that, or basically open to negotiation. Like, what do you think? Like we could work something out, and then like he might mention this, and then I mention it to him again maybe a week or two later or sometime later. So it wasn't right in the moment, but I think when I brought it up to him again, he considered it, and then he asked me, you have made some money back from this yet, right? And I've been investing with Paul basically since 2015, right? It's not that long, but it's some years now. When he asked me if I had gotten hard cash back from this yet, I was like, well, no, man, for some of the reasons I've already discussed. I was like, not yet. I mean, it's going well. I mean, this thing is positive, man. Can't you feel that vibe? He couldn't feel the positive vibe. I couldn't communicate it to him. It was a deflating feeling. His expression changed. It was like he was so disappointed and like almost surprised in a negative way. And I felt deflated. And I was like, man, we never talked about that again. So that's that. There's a guy who stands by Nathan Phillips Square in downtown Toronto across from the Eaton Centre. It's kind of like, it's not like Times Square in New York, but it's like the closest thing we have in Toronto to that. Not that I like those types of public spaces, but there's a guy who stands right at the corner of Yonge and Dundas, and he's on the northwest corner. He's like this middle-aged, a white Hispanic, and he's just like got this curled kind of mouth, and he's standing there with these flyers, and you can't see exactly what he's doing, but just every 30 seconds or every 1 minute, he'll just be, believe in Jesus, believe. And it's like, if you're not expecting that could give you a bit of a jump. But I know he's been there. He's been a fixture, and maybe I wouldn't agree exactly with his brand of Christianity. I like Christianity, but maybe I don't know about his specific take on it. I haven't talked to him, but I like that speech. It's like, yeah, man, you got something. Yeah, I like it. You do gotta believe. If you can experience and feel something, then of course you're gonna believe it. Hasta luego, amigos.